Hello everyone, welcome back to the session on lists again. So this is the last video about the concept on lists. So again, I'm following the same strategy here. That is, first I will explain the part theoretically here, and again a video will follow which will show the hands-on of all these programs. So, the previous video talked about the different string methods and how we convert from a list to a string to a list, and all the other various topics. Now, a brief remaining topics I'll brief about. So, this is not going to be a very long video. Continuing now, objects and values. They have taken an example here of a string. If you have a string by name A is banana and B is banana, where both the string here, if they that is if they have the same set of values, and if you try to check these two variables whether they are referring to the same object, then using the if operator, if you check, it says it as true. That is, it means that both the values are same, then it refers to the same object. It says that they are equivalent. Whereas using our is operator in case of our list, if you're creating two lists, it means that they are two different objects. Whatever may be the value, it is like if I have a list called as A which has the value 1 2 3, and another list with B which has the value 1 2 3, both we can call them as equivalent, but they are not identical. So when you are comparing it using the is operator, it returns it to be false. So it says that they don't belong to the same objects. The comparison returns in this way. So here it means that you can't say that just because the values are same, they are the same objects. Although the values are same, these two are not the same object. So that is what is the meaning here when we talk about list. So that is, we can call them as equivalent lists but not identical lists. And next about the aliasing concept. So here, say we have a list called A which has the value 1 2 3, and now you try to assign B as A, and now both A and B are referring to the same object. That is, both the variables A and B are referring to the same object. In this case, you can say that they are belonging to the same object. And if you are trying to print it as print B is A, then it will show that it is true, because both of them are basically referring to the same object. So this is the association. It is what we call as the reference, where the two variables are referring to the same object. So in such a case, now if this alias is trying to, since we know that lists are basically mutable, if it is trying to change some value, now here our zeroth index was basically 1 in A, the reference B, if it is trying to change it, modify the list, then that is totally acceptable, and this change must be or will be reflected in the list A, since both are not two different objects. Now both are basically referring to the same object, so any changes made to B will also be reflected in A. So when you try to print A here, it's the changes gets reflected and it will be printing it as 17 2 and 3. Prior it was 1 2 and 3, the values of the list. So this is our aliasing concept, but it is not the same with respect to our strings, because we always know that strings are immutable objects, so you cannot change the value of the string. And now coming to the list argument. So how we can pass list as argument to a function. So when you are passing a list to a function, it means that the function is getting a reference to that particular list, and any changes you make, that is the function makes to the list, parameter, the caller definitely sees the change. That is, that change will obviously be reflected in the function also. So there's an example here which is trying to remove an element from the list. So the name of the function is delete underscore head, and using the del operator, it is trying this operator. In the previous session I have already discussed, so hope you remember about the remove, delete and the pop function. So this is operator is used to basically delete any item from your list. So it is trying to delete t of 0. So, and in the function that is the outside the function, what values we have here is the name of the list is letters is ABC, and delete is happening. So this delete what is being performed in the function, that will be applied to your caller. So here when you try after deleting, if you are trying to print that letters list, then you will see that the element with the zeroth index, that is A, will be deleted and B, C only will be printed. All these examples in the following video I will execute, and I'll show you how these are working. Just as of now we need to understand the concept. So this is how the list argument is working. And here another concept they have considered here again, how the aliasing works for the object. So here if you have a list called t1 which has the value 1 comma 2, and if you are applying t1 dot append, even in the previous video about append I had discussed here. So append, when you're appending any such values, this is only applying on the object t1 here. It is not making any change to your other list. So when you try to print t1, 3 will be appended and 1 2 3 will what be printed when you're printing t1, whereas when you print the list t2 it is still empty, so it says none. And when you're trying to take another list here t3, and if you're performing concatenation like t1 plus 3, so here what does it change your t3 is, t3 is t1, t1 is nothing but 1 2, and 1 2 plus 3, it will be changed to 1 2 and 3. Similarly, if you are trying to check if T2 is T3, that is, since they are referring to the same object or not, then definitely it says false. So I told you it is unlike your strings. They both, that is, the two different objects are basically been created. So that is one about the aliasing concept. So, and other next thing about your list as argument is, so this is another same function which is trying to delete something from your list. It is called as the function is being defined using the def keyword. Bad underscore delete underscore head is the name of the function. And what is it trying to do here? Here is it is just trying to perform slicing on your list, and it is trying to slice from the first index onwards all the elements, but this is not having any change on the argument here t, which was being passed as an argument. So if you want to make any changes to this particular argument t here, then you will have to use the return function. If you're using it in this way, this doesn't reflect in the list which was basically defined outside. I'll take an example, and I'll the same example, and I'll explain it in the hands-on. So this way it is not going to delete anything. Your list will remain intact. If you want to make any changes, you need to use the return operator like this and return whatever is being sliced. So only then, if you observe here, the first that is string onwards, or it is just trying to say like slice it, or try to print it from the first index onward. So whatever kind of slicing you want to perform here, that can be performed, but we need to use the return function here. So this was a small video on the remaining topics on the list. Following, you can have a hands-on video also attached with this video. Next, in the next session, I will be starting with the dictionaries topic in the same pattern. I'll explain, and that is a subsequent hands-on video will follow. And with respect to this particular list alone, I have prepared a list of programs. With that, I have attached all these whatever I have taught, I've taken here and explained to you. Thus, all those around 20 to 25 programs. I have typed in with their output, and I will be sending that also. You can just look into that for the reference and try to understand this. Any doubts on this topic? This is one chapter what we have completed. We have two more other concepts, tuples and dictionaries, regular expressions, which we need to complete. So thank you as of now.